What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the HBCU NFL Report, where we keep you guys updated on your favorite Black college football stars in the pros. I am Symone Stanley. He is Luke Williams, and we just wrapped up week 1 of the 2023 NFL season. Luke, the season is here, it's back, it's underway. Your team took an L. My team got a W, but a lot of HBCU stars popped out. We have the players of the week for you guys, and we also have the return of a star that we have to get into. Luke, how you feeling?
I'm not feeling well, especially based on that first week. We really laid a dud. The Steelers did against the San Francisco 49ers, but, it's early. We got time to recover, and I have all the faith in the world in Mike Tomlin. We'll make the adjustments.
That's a hard week 1 matchup. San Fran, just in the NFC Championship game. So
yeah, and they played like it. They really outclassed us after all of the preseason hype with the Steelers. And Kenny Pickett, he was awful. He had 5 possessions in the preseason, all touchdowns. He had 1 possession with a touchdown and a 30-7 loss. So it was a terrible start. But again, Mike Tomlin is known to make the adjustments, learn from the mistakes. I'm sure they'll be better this week against Cleveland.
Y'all had preseason hype. I wasn't hearing any hype around y'all.
See, that's cold. Yeah, everybody knew the Steelers had 5 preseason possessions with Kenny Pickett, a quarterback. All of them ended in touchdowns. But guess what? That's the preseason. It doesn't count. So this is counting now, and we're 0-1 to start. So let's move on. How about that?
Let's get into a return of a star. South Carolina State Bulldog turned Indianapolis Colt and all-pro outside linebacker Shaquille Leonard returned to the field in the week 1 game. He popped out, Luke. He coming back from injury. This is the kind of return that you want. The team lost to Jacksonville, but Shaquille had 8 total tackles, 3 solo tackles, and a tackle for loss. Last season, he only played in a handful of games before he got injured. This offseason, it was still a lot of questions on when he was going to be able to return, but he came out week 1, reminded the league, who's one of the top of his position.
Yeah, he was second on his team in tackles. He's used to leading the team in tackles, being among the tackles leaders in all of the NFL. Good to see him back. He battled with that back surgery, trying to recover from back surgery last season. And back on the field in the first game, that's a good indication. But until we see him putting up those double-digit tackles numbers, which is what he's known for, from playing from one side of the field to the other, the South Carolina State product, very highly paid linebacker in the league. Hopefully he'll have a bounce-back season this year. He
had 8 tackles, Lou, real close to double digits.
Yeah, well, he's used to 10, 11 tackles. And, they shut him down early last season because they said he wasn't playing up to the kind of capacity that he had in terms of playing from sideline to sideline. So, 8 tackles was a great beginning. And after being out for almost the whole second half of last season, certainly is a good indication that, he's back to his old self.
It's going to be a long season for the Colts because it's not a lot of talent on that roster outside of Shaq and Grover Stewart, who we might get into. But let's get into our players of the week. There's no offensive players of the week, you guys, because no offensive HBCU stars got any play week 1.
Yeah, if there was a chant for this week, it would be defense, 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 because we had several guys who kind of stood out defensively. But Teron Armstead, for example, the veteran, the most tenured veteran from the HBCU ranks in the NFL for the Dolphins out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, didn't play because of a leg injury. What's his name from
Titus.
Houston? Titus. Didn't play because of a hand injury. Other guys who made rosters that didn't play, like Trent Scott out of Grambling for Washington, didn't get in the game. Even Ricky Lee for A&T, an undrafted rookie that made the Carolina Panthers, didn't even get on the field.
They could have used him because they were struggling.
Yeah, well, how about that? So, for that reason, we couldn't really pick anybody. Even a guy like Daryl Hodge, a wide receiver out of Prairie View A&M playing for Atlanta, didn't even have a stat in the game. And for some reason, the NFL has decided this year. I used to have the stats, how many plays and what percentage of plays they played. They're not even reporting that, at least through game one. I have to check with the NFL to find out why they're not doing that, because I thought it was very important to see how many snaps each guy was playing, what percentage of snaps on offense, defense, or special teams they were playing. So they've not included that in their game details. I'm not sure why, but I'll find out and see if we can still collect that information.
Defensive player of the week. Let's get into it, because you believe there is a co-defensive player of the week. I feel like it's a definitive defensive player of the week. But one guy that we agree on, Markquese Bell, former Florida A&M safety, entering his second year with the Dallas Cowboys. He led the team in tackles in their shutout against the New York Giants on Sunday Night Football. Markquese Bell had 8 total tackles, 6 solo tackles, including 1 for a loss and a forced fumble. So like you said, the star of the week. And, I don't like to give them any credit. You know what I'm saying? It was just the Giants,
I wonder why.
Shout out to Markquese.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, we saw a lot of him in the preseason. Dallas really played him a lot. He was playing actually behind a 3rd-round pick out of Texas. His name was DeMarvion Overshawn, who was supposed to start at that position, but he tore his ACL and is out for the season, which opened the door for Markquese Bell to step up, and that's exactly what he did. When you talk about 8 tackles, you're talking about 6 solos, and he's playing what they call, I've forgotten the term, but it's a hybrid position. It's like linebacker / safety position, where you play sometimes in the box, sometimes you play, behind the box. And he had those 6 tackles, and he had a forced fumble. He had a tackle for loss. And I'd agree with you. He's definitely the star of the week. I mean, who expected it? And he was expected to really be playing behind this kid, Overshawn. But when he went out, it opened the door for him. He got interviews after the game. People were talking to him. And as much as we talked about last year, how he didn't get a shot for Miami to get in, he's out of Florida A&M, but he didn't get a shot to get in a lot of games for the Cowboys. Now it looks like, the position is his. And as long as he produces like he did in that shutout Sunday night against the New York Giants, Markquese Bell looks like he's here to stay. He's a guy that we've been waiting for and thought he deserved more of a chance last year, but sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to wait your shot, wait your turn, and he stepped up when he got it.
Well, good for him. We'll see, how he's looking week 9,
You just can't say anything positive about the Cowboys.
I did. Okay. I'm just saying. Good for him.
Good for him.
No. People talking about the little boys go to the Super Bowl after beating the Giants.
Right. Right. So, yeah. Slow your roll. Right.
Exactly. Let's slow the roll. Star of the week for sure, but it's one week at a time.
Okay.
Now let's talk about Javon Hargrave, because you want to give Javon the co-defensive player of the week. I feel like it's Markquese Bell's title alone. But we could talk about Javon Hargrave, former South Carolina State Bulldog, former Steeler, former Eagle, now with San Fran. And he made some plays against your team.
Well, he didn't make many, because one of the things they said late in the broadcast is, we haven't mentioned the name of Javon Hargrave all day. And then like the next play, he got a sack of Kenny Pickett, one of about 5, by the way. But if we did anything against San Francisco is run the ball. What's my running back's name? Can't even think of his name. Thank you. Najee Harris did a good job. He ran for some yards up the middle.
And what I tell you about that run defense from Javon, I tell you about that.
The 49ers are no joke. They got playmakers on every level. Up front with Nick Bosa and now Javon Hargrave, the kid Waring, Fred. Well, I think Waring is his Warner is right.
You're jacking up everybody's name today.
I know. I'm sorry. Middle linebacker. He may be the best in the league. He was is crunching us. And then they have this cat, safety Lafunga, who they say is being trained by Polamalu, Troy Polamalu. He's a guy from the Fijis, just like Polamalu's got that long hair like Polamalu. He laid some vicious hits. So, no, the 49ers definitely showed us where our weak spots are. I'm looking, as I said, looking for Tomlin to clean up a lot of that stuff. But Hargrave, adding him to an already tough defense, I think one of the other defensive linemen had 3 sacks. Bosa had a sack, and Hargrave had a sack. So those were the 5 that they had against the Steelers. He's only going to make them better. But what I was saying is that without an offensive player, I was trying to hype as many defensive players as possible. So that's why I wanted to include Hargrave. He didn't have a sack. A kid like Brian Cook for Kansas City, even though the defending Super Bowl champions took a loss to Detroit, he had a big game. He had, 8 tackles, 7 tackles for the Chiefs, as well. I thought he, deserved it. I could have put Shaquille up there also. But, just the absence of any offensive players. And when you get past Teron Armstead, we don't even have any real legit skilled players other than Kadero Hodge that are playing. We've lost Trenton Cannon. We've lost some others that would get some run. Even on the special teams level, we don't have a lot of guys on special teams. So we had to go with a guy who's our go-to guy for special teams. And that's the place kicker and the punter for the Giants.
Especially since he's playing for the Giants, he's going to hold down that spot.
Yeah, and I guess he was the only bright spot because he averaged 50-some yards and 3 kicks, had a 62-yarder. He was the only bright spot for the Giants, who took that 40-0 L. So it was interesting because at the beginning of that game, it looked like the Giants were going to make it a game, drove down the field, turned the ball over, and it was all downhill from there. So we got a lot to look forward to when we get these guys back. It's not clear. Teron Armstead was supposed to play up until Saturday. They were saying that he might play, but he didn't play, and still Miami came through with a big win over the LA Chargers. Titus Howard didn't play, and Houston, playing new quarterback C.J. Stroud, certainly took an L as well.
So, yes, like you said, special teams player of the week. You guys already know going to Jamie Galan. When your team scores 0 points, you're going to be doing a lot of punting. So, that's Jamie Galan, he's probably going to be holding down that special teams player of the week spot a lot.
Right.
So, headed into next week, headed into week 2, the biggest storyline is let's see some more offensive players. We talked about that last year, and the same theme is continuing this year. The HBCU Stars are holding down defense. They're holding down special teams. But let's see some offensive firepower. Like you said, Kadero Hodge, we want to see him get involved. Shaq Davis, wide receiver out of South Carolina State, is with New Orleans. Let's see him. Let's see Emmanuel Wilson. I wanted to see him get some burn.
We want to have some offensive players, and I think when you look at it, the number of defensive players in the league, if you're an HBCU product, your best chance to make it in the league right now is at a defensive position. And we did have 2 undrafted rookies, Emmanuel Wilson, running back for Green Bay. He didn't get in for Green Bay this week. Neither did Shaq Davis, both of them practice squad players, but hopefully they'll get an opportunity. You don't like to see people go down with injuries, but Emmanuel Wilson is like a 3rd running back for the Packers. And Shaquan Davis or Shaq Davis is obviously an extra wide receiver for the Saints. So we hope they'll get an opportunity to show some stuff. Same way that Kobe Durant did last year. He sat for a while, as did James Houston on the practice squad before they really got a chance to get in and show their stuff. So it's early. First game, you won't expect to see those guys. But as we go down the season, we expect to let them see if they get an opportunity.
All right, Luke, that is the week 1 HBCU NFL report. We are headed to week 2. A lot of storylines to watch out for, so make sure you guys are subscribed to HBCU Game Day and have your notification bells on, because if you don't have your notification bells on, you won't be reminded when the videos come. So make sure you have your notification bells on. I am Symone Stanley. He is Lute Williams. Until we talk to you guys next time. Bye.